Okay, let's carry on here. So, two things before we are able to move to UML, which is the topic of our second half here. So, we need to talk about, one, read-only properties. So, let's cover that. So, I'm going to go back here to my codes. And read-only properties are very simple properties. If we'll have a look at, for instance, at diameter, how do you think that we could make diameter a read-only property? Look at this code in your GoToMeeting there. How do you think that we can make it read-only?
Read-only.
It's not about accessibility.
Get rid of get, just set.
Get rid of get, just set. Think about that again. You're close, but not, it's the opposite.
The opposite.
Get rid of what?
Get rid of the set.
So we get rid of how to save to it, but we don't get rid of how to retrieve from it. It's read only. Read is the get. So we don't get rid of get, because we just want to read it from.
So technically set is right.
Set is right, and get is read. Okay? So we can have properties that are read-only. I'm not saying that diameter or price here would be good choice to be read-only. I'm just saying that what do you have to do to create read-only properties? Okay? Read-only property, you can only read the value. So, very easily, you can just get rid of sets. Now, as you do this, it's going to give an error on the diameter here, because now it says property cannot be assigned. It is read-only. So, again, very simply, that's how you can create a read-only property. You may ask, what's the purpose of a read-only property? Well, just to make a value available. Or here's the thing, maybe you are setting the value of that property another way, maybe via constructor. Again, you may have your reasons there for not wanting people to change the value of this property. So again, maybe you are hard coding the value here for some reason, okay? Let me give you an example here of how, even though diameter right now became read-only, but there is a way that we can still set a value to diameter. There is a way. I'm gonna just get rid of this for now so you don't get errors. By using a constructor, and I'm giving a tip already here, who can think about an option that would allow me to set the value of diameter, even though it's a read-only property. In the constructor, okay, what do we do in the constructor? How could we change this here? How can we change, let's say, I want to have a constructor that will set the diameter, even though the property is read-only. What should I change here? It's a dot diameter.
Can we make it a read line?
A read-only?
Huh? Read line, like
read
so you can just type it in.
Okay, we are not asking for input here. We are just keeping, let's say we want to keep this one as it is, this constructor, that sets the diameter. Now again, diameter is read-only. What would you have to change to make this pizza constructor, and for that matter, this other one here, work as well? What would you have to change?
We set the upper data field on that value.
Yes. Say that again?
The data fields and the data field which we have done the private, we'll directly set it over there. We don't need the set method anymore.
So here, on our initialization, we can use the properties, and we are calling diameter with capital D. However, I could call the private one. I could call this guy here. I can say diameter. Because here's the thing. I know those are private. But private can be seen inside the class. Private cannot be seen outside, but can be seen inside. So I could very much say lowercase diameter equals to 12. Lowercase diameter equals to 12.
And since you have the constructor, it's going to pass to constructor and then
Yes.
going to be outside of the class.
Yes. So here, we are fine here. No problems. However, here we have a little problem. What is the problem that we have in the second constructor?
The second one becomes ambiguous.
Yes.
Pilot cannot decide which diameter is it talking about.
Actually, it's not an error, it's just a warning. It's just saying that, hey, you are setting diameter to diameter.
So could we just put diameter and remove the equal?
But then how are you going to assign this diameter to the outside diameter? How can we assign them?
We should use this.
Yes.
What's that?
This. This is the solution.
Well, it's there, right?
Yes, this is there. So, this, the keyword this, it represents the current object that is alive in the class at this point.
Sorry, can you repeat again?
This means the current object that is instantiated at that moment in time. It means the current object. Don't worry if you don't get it.
Current object.
It's the current object. It means that, for instance, when we say this inside the class, we mean the object that we have just created. It's a reference to the current object in that class. We have my pizza here. We have my pizza 2. When we use the keyword this, it means this instance, the instance that is right now running in that class. And I don't like, it's not really running the class. It's instantiated with that class. Okay? Is it temporary?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Actually, here's the thing. Every time that we say toppings here, implicitly there is a this there. But we don't have to write it. Now, when I say this, I can then put dots, and now I can find the lowercase diameter. So now with this, I can refer to the diameter that is outside of this context here.
Oh, that one is outside.
Yes, so this diameter here is the one up here.
So that's outside?
That's the outside one. Because if I don't use this keyword, it doesn't even get confused. It's going to use the closest one, the parameter. It's going to be this one. And the warning here is just saying, hey, you are setting the same, you are setting the value of this parameter to itself. It doesn't make sense. Okay? It just warn you. It's not an error, but it's just let you know that, hey, do you know what you're doing? It doesn't make sense. Okay? So again, when we put this,
Okay. Because actually
yeah, so when we put this, we are making a reference to this object. Now we can refer to the methods, to the properties, and to the private fields in this class. But of course, the private ones we can only refer inside of the class. We cannot refer to them outside.
So is it like extension? Is it kind of extension of that object?
This keyword is not really an extension, it's actually the object. It's the actual object.
read only.
Yeah,
So we set some value for that variable.
yeah, for that, yes, for that data field, yes,
So now we say we return something.
yes.
So why we keep get and get rid of set instead of keep set? Because set adds value to that data.
Because here, well,
Because set
you could have a write-only property. It's not very usual to have a write-only. I'm not even sure if it's valid, but I think it is. If you just have a set and you don't have a get, you're gonna only be able to set a value to the property. You're not gonna be able to read from the property. So you only send the value, but you can no longer read from it.
I only set, for example, I have a set only.
Yeah.
I added some value to that data.
Yep.
Now that data have some value,
Yes.
and with get we read that data.
Yes.
So why now we have to only read only?
If we have a read-only, you might be asking, how do I set the value?
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't set the value outside. You set the value inside via the private. You actually set the value of the, like what we're doing here. We're setting the value not of the property. Diameter lowercase d is not the property, it's the data field. So we are yes, right here. So we are setting the value not to the property, but to the data field directly. We're storing the data field directly. We can store because, again, we will not be able to use capital D here because it's a read-only. Yeah, but then because we are inside the class, we have access, direct access to the private fields as well, without any problem, without any problems.
Professor, how about inside the program? Could you please go inside the program?
Yep. Now, inside the program, I have to get rid of this.
Oh, we cannot have a diameter here to
No.
set the value for that.
No.
The set is only inside the class when we have read only.
Yes, it's only inside the class that we can access the private one, and then we bypass the property, and we go straight to the data. But only inside the class. We are still not exposing that data, that private fields, outside of the class. It's only inside.
I'm just confused at how is we don't have a set and inside the program we want to use that.
I get it.
If we don't use this, like, can we use other stuff?
If we don't use this, the keywords,
Yeah.
well,
Is there
let me
any other
ask.
ways to express that? Like,
That's a good question. Oh, look at the constructor there. What could be the other way by not using the this keyword? What else could I have done here?
Declare another variable.
It's not declaring another variable, it's doing something similar to that. Again, look at this constructor, the second one. How can I address the problem without using the keyword this?
Change the name of the integer.
Change the name of the parameter. So put something else. Okay? Let's say, I don't know, diameter 1, yeah. So if I do this, then I can say that, and it's all good. It's all good.
Using this is not that much recommended, right?
Recommended is a hard word to recommend.
I mean, like there is more easier ways to.
Okay, but the point is that there might be scenarios like this, what I just demonstrated, that you may need to use the keyword this to avoid a problem like what I just described. Now, what we just did right now, it's a solution. But maybe, I don't know, you want to keep... Yeah. I find it hard to find a scenario that you're going to be, aside from something like this, that I just put it there, that you must use this. There is no other option. Yeah, I find it hard to find a scenario that you have to use it. Just make sure that you know it's there. But yeah, I think it's
It's an option. It's only an option. That's what I think.
It's available if you come across a situation like this.
Yeah.
That, as some said, that becomes ambiguous here. Okay? Okay, so constructors we did this. Let's see. We're gonna live on breaks, huh? Okay, not really, not yet. So I'm gonna save this, and I think that we covered this part. Let's see here. Okay, so in regards to exercises 3 and 4, you can practice them. I'll be providing the solution for all 4 of them before the end of the week, by the end of the week actually. So again, if you want to keep going, practice on your own. You're going to do that at home. Right now we're going to move forward to UML, and yeah, I think that's about it. Let's see here. That's fine. So, okay, let's move forward here.
Do you want Azadi?
Okay, just confirm. Everybody can see the PowerPoint there that says UML. Can you see that? Yes. Okay. Okay, great. So you had done some watching about UML for bonus 2, okay? So today I want to progress with UML with unified modeling language. If we have enough time, we're going to mention a little bit about constants and enumerables, but the focus will be really for now on UML. UML is what I would call, it's a diagram. It's a diagram of the different classes that you have on your system, on your application. Okay? It gives you an overview of the different moving parts of your application. The bigger the application that you are working with, the more important it is to have a UML diagram or some sort of diagram. Again, UML is very popular, but different companies might be using different types of diagrams. I believe that UML is still the most popular one, but let's have a look a little bit on this example there. By the way, the diagrams that you're going to be using here, they will not be very complicated. Mostly you're going to be dealing with at most 5 entities, 3 to 5 entities, 3 to 5 classes, okay? So, just get something out of my way here. So, in this diagram, what is it that we see? We see 4 different what? Yep.
How is UML, how is it included in the coding course? Like it should be in a different course, the UML diagrams.
If it should be, or is that a question?
Yeah, and they are also, like we also have a course of something like design. So we have all the UML diagrams in it. Why are we studying it in C#?
Because we are dealing with, this course is about, it's dealing with classes and objects. And when we're building classes and objects, a UML diagram, it's used to make the understanding of the classes that are related in our application more clear to us. Sure. So we're not going to go and study UML deeply here. Actually, this second half will be pretty much it. What we're going to see here today in the next hour will be what you're gonna need in terms of UML for this course. Because we're gonna be seeing classes, and I'll be giving you, let's implement this class. The class will be given to you in a UML format. So I don't know if it addresses your question, but that's the best way I can explain that.
Are you referring to the use case diagram?
No, class diagram is also part of the UML.
Yeah, because UML have different kind of
it's kind of
classes.
Sequence, and it has also sequence diagrams. Again, we're not going to be talking about sequence diagrams here. Again, it's not very deep what we're going to be covering here. It's more of, this is what we need to know to be able to use the basics of UML. So most likely in this other course, you're going to go a way more deeper than in this course here, okay?
I believe this is more to simplify what the program may look like, right?
Yes, it is. Okay? Okay, so we have on GoToMeeting there, we have 4 classes, a person. In the person, you can see 3 properties. You can see the name, the phone number, the email address, but you can also see actions. You can see methods there. A method like purchase parking pass, okay? Yeah, it's just the name of the method. So a person is the general representation. Okay, so you see person, and under that you see student and professor. What you see there is something called specialization. So when you go from person to student, you are specializing the type of person. You are specializing the type of person when you go to professor there. They both have names, phone number, email address. However, there are certain properties that are only present in professor or only present in student, like salary for professor, student, you have a student number, the average mark. There are 2 methods there that are available for a student, like is eligible to enroll. Okay, so you have general, common.
Is that the parent class? And
Actually, yes. This is inheritance. We're not going to be coding inheritance right away, but you're going to be using that a little bit later when we talk about inheritance. We have a class, and other classes inheriting from it. So this is an example of inheritance. When you go from top to bottom, you have specialization, and when you go from bottom to top, you have generalization. Okay, so you generalize from a professor and student to a person, and we specialize from person to student and to professor. Okay? And then on the side we have address, we have a few properties and a few methods as well. Let's have a look at some of the details of UML diagrams. Okay. So, first of all is that if you go to Google and you put UML diagram examples, you're going to see quite a few different formats. You're going to see, they have some general aspects that are common. By the way, I'm going to sit a little bit because my back is just killing me, so I'll be sitting a bit here if you don't mind. Okay, so this is an example of now our pizza class. We have a section that we're going to cover the fields, a section that we're going to cover properties, and another section that we're going to cover methods. Okay? So, what do you think the minus sign means? It's a private. Private, okay? So minus means private. Plus means public. What else we have here? As you can see, we have the field names using camel casing. We have properties using parcel casing. We have methods using parcel casing as well. We have the types, the types of the fields, the types of the properties, the types of the methods. Parameters as well. We have parameters here. Okay? So what you're going to see across this course is during exercise, during tests as well, I'll be giving a UML diagram. And then you're going to be translating that into code. You're going to be converting that, okay? We're going to have a chance to practice this a little bit today. Okay, let's see. So, as I mentioned here, in the field section, we're going to have data fields. Constants will be there as well. We didn't talk about constants yet, but we have constants there as well. We have properties. Inside the methods slot there, the method area, we're also going to be finding constructors there.
Even masters, they're constructors.
So, yeah, so under this section here, called methods, we're going to find constructors here as well, but they will be clearly flagged as constructor. They will have the keyword constructor to identify that this is not a method, this is a constructor, okay? So we have some symbols here. We have the $sign to represent a static member. Remember, static and non-static. Static belongs to the class, non-static belongs to the objects, okay? So if you see the keyword static, that member can only be called from the class name, like pizza. In our case, pizza didn't have any static member, but if it did, we would have to say pizza dot whatever static member we may have. So again, static means that it can only be called from the class. Non-static means that it should be called from the objects, okay? And the absence of static keyword means that it is non-static, okay? Anyway, the $sign means a static, public plus, private minus, protected, number sign, protected. Protected, we didn't see much about protected yet. I'm just going to mention. It will be further explained when we talk about inheritance. But protected means that that member can only be accessed by the children of that class. If we go back here to our UML, see, we have student and professor. They inherit from person. So a protected member in person can be accessed by students and by professor, but cannot be accessed outside. So again, in terms of access modifiers, we have private, protected, and public. Their security goes like that. Private one is the most restricted, protected can be accessed by the children, and public, everybody can access that. Yes?
How about internal?
Okay, so internal is about class. It's not about member. So we only use the keyword internal in the context of a class. So in the context of a class, we only have internal and public. Now, we're not talking about nested class yet, which will also have protected and private. But top level class, I would say, like the ones that we are creating, like the pizza and the display house, we can only have either internal or public.
What about the nested classes, the three of them?
Yes.
Public,
Public, yes, we have.
we don't have any.
Because in the end, a nested class is just a member of a class. It's a special type of member. As we have methods, we have properties, we have fields, we have constructors, we have nested classes. Nested class is not, I mean, I have to admit, in my career, I've not created nested classes. I have not had the need to create that. But I'm going to explain just so you know that it's there available. But I have not used that much at all. Okay?
So internal is only used for the
Assembly. Internal class is about, it's only available to the project that it's running from. It's not available to other projects. That's what internal is. Yep.
When we have a nested classes, the method inside classes is also method for the big classes too or not?
Well, you see, the inside class, you're going to have to instantiate
They are public or private?
what? The class? The method, it depends. They can be public or they can be private.
But the private one is
Yeah.
only for that classes or the classes and the parents?
No, it's just for that class. The parent class doesn't have access to the private ones. Okay?
Yeah.
So it creates an extra level of complexity there.
Just thinking that.
Anyone had another question? I saw another hand raised there. Good? Okay? So let's keep moving forward here. Yeah, you see, this diagram here, I'm not going to dive into that, but this is useful for you to understand the keywords public, protected, private, and internal. Again, it's a good matrix there. But I'm not gonna focus on that right now. Oh, by the way, you have the keyword read-only to identify a property as being a read-only property. Let's enhance a little bit our pizza class. We have now, look at this, discount. What is this again? The dollar sign? It's static. So discount here becomes a static property, a private static. And then we have a public static property called discount. Look at here, under methods, we have a constructor called pizza. The same name as the class, with one parameter called diameter. Okay? So this is how you come to define those classes. Question? Okay, let's have a, actually this will be hard for you to listen. So you can listen to this video later on your own time. It will just go through this a little bit more. But look at this, the class now of pizza. This is how Visual Studio can present to you a class using the diagram tools of Visual Studio. See, it uses some icons, but it clearly defines what are the fields, what are the properties, what are the methods, and you can see here pizza has no return type. It means that this is a constructor, okay? So again, it shows things a little bit different, but in the end, it's still a UML class. It's same concept, you know, just a slightly different look and feel, okay? Okay, so we're gonna try to practice this, and here's what we have. Let me exit this. I'm gonna put this description on Padlet. Actually, I'm gonna clear things there. I'm just gonna clear this. I'm gonna add a description here. So here's what we're gonna try to do. You're gonna read this, and you're gonna convert this description into a UML class. You can do that by using as a Word document. You can draw some boxes there, or you can do. Let me see if I can find. I think it's right here. See, you can do in a text format. I'm going to give you my version of the pizza class. And you can use this as a reference point to define your UML diagram for the Girl Scouts. Okay? So give it a try, read the definition there, and see if you can come up with your own UML diagram, even if it's in text format like this. As you get it done, post them on Padlet, and we can have a discussion to see, who got close, who got it right. So again, read the description and come up with your own little UML diagram for this class called Girls Scouts. Okay? I'll give a few minutes as you come up with that. And by the way, you can download the PDF for the presentation under week 3, okay? Week 3. So you can have a reference point there. If by any chance, if you need a break, you can take your 5 minutes now as well. So feel free. See.
It's in week 3, sir?
Yeah, it's let me go here. It's under contents. Week 3 and week 3 PDF.
Can I see?
Yeah, you can.
What is this? It's public static string Girl Scout motto?
Okay.
What should I do with it? Like, what's the reason of it?
Just to demonstrate that's how you go about creating a static
Variable?
variable. In this case,
And then I'm just
you can
call
just
it?
you can just output that. But can you go back to the exercise? Because I want to see. Oh, so okay, I get it. But so you are implementing the codes of this?
Yeah, because this is from exercise week 1,
Got it. So go to that one.
and I already have it, so I'm just...
Yeah. So just go to
this.
just go to the statement of that again. I just because I don't recall the. So let me see here. Add the method to display.
Add the method to display their motto.
Yeah.
with
So
the
so
ones
show me
we
the
found.
methods.
Here we go. But this is not the method, but there was no task for method. I
Okay,
didn't know.
so-
In
so-
the task, there are no specific...
So let's go to the task. Again, I don't want this description to confuse with whatever
No,
is there
it's
in the
okay, but-
exercise. 'Cause I don't remember on top. So which exercise is that one? Is that exercise 1?
I don't have a file.
Girl Scout. I have it here. So
Yeah, this is what I...
demo
tried
Scout.
to do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's see here. Include overload also includes. Okay. Include a constant static field that contains
Method of the program.
the last words of the
Girl
keyword.
Scout object.
Include an
And
object,
display
okay.
their variables.
Create an object to use with a constructor and another to use a constructor that
Yeah,
requires
so
variables.
I
Also display
added this to
also
Girl
display
Scout
Girl
as an
Scout.
object.
Okay. The motto
Yeah, to
includes.
obey the Girl Scout law.
Okay, so here's the thing.
should
Don't,
be
yeah, you don't need to create a method, but what you should do, my recommendation, and again, here you are using auto properties and it's asking for auto properties, is it?
It doesn't say anything, just saying get and set.
Yeah, so whenever it says that, make sure that you do the private ones here, because in this course, we are using private fields and public methods, okay? So you got the idea, but here,
But then I have to follow your structure.
yes, so
Otherwise,
private ones.
Or public like this.
Yes.
Or private, but your way.
In the name convention as well,
that's right.
okay?
I know.
But here, what I would recommend you to do is make it private, and then have a public static property to read from it. Yeah, so make it private
Okay.
and have it as a public,
But it should be static.
should be static, yeah.
String,
but make a public
but then I can.
static property that will read from it.
Okay, so for example, I will change it later.
That's right.
No big deal. But what about this? I can't read it because I have to create an object, static object.
No,
Because I
okay,
know.
okay.
I
Go back here, go back up. So you have it private, okay? So now you're gonna create a public property, a public static property. Just read it from it. I get it, but
So just read.
Just
So
read from it, yes.
Public void read.
no, it's not a method. It's a property. You're gonna create a property that will read from it.
Public
Mir,
get.
we're gonna have private fields and you're gonna have public properties that you're gonna get the. See,
So public. It must be
okay,
a method.
okay, so okay, it's not a method. It's a property,
Okay.
like those. But here you created auto properties,
Yes, that's right.
so you're gonna flip that. You're gonna create not
Oh,
auto
so
properties.
I have to do the same thing. So
So-
again, it's public,
Public,
then
static,
because we have static,
string,
then string.
and then you can call it Girl Scout model, but with G capital. Yeah, that's it.
Because it's a method.
It's not a method.
But
No,
which is
it's a property. It's not a method. It's not a method because you have methods. They don't have gets and sets. You're gonna have a get and set.
one thing. Arrow, so we
You're gonna have a get and a set.
Get is,
Just look at the example that I.
yeah, I get it. But I have to return.
It's not a return. This is not a method.
Oh, it's
This is a property. Look at, yes, you have a get and a set. Actually, if it's read only, I mean, it's okay to have just a get. That's okay to have just a get.
I can.
Motto, it's like what they say. Do you want to understand what motto is? Motto,
Yeah, it's not explaining here. So it's better to show this or copy and paste.
okay. 1 second. So, yeah. To obey, I mean, you don't even need to set a value. This is just to define. A model is a string. Okay?
Then it's not a function, right? That's the difference.
It's not a function. It's
So
a
not
property.
function, It's a property
Yes.
of the variable. Of the variable. For the variable.
Well, I mean, again, you can think, you can call it however you want to call it.
Understand it, you know?
Yeah. So
If it's not a
again, it's a property is just a filter between the private fields and the outside world. If this is static, this should be static as well. If those are dynamic, again, now, I'm assuming that you understand what I mentioned because you need to change this.
yeah, I will change it. It's not a big deal.
No, I get it. I'm just trying to, because you were having a hard time here, so I'm concerned that you're gonna have a hard
Because I
time here
did
as
it
well.
like last or like 2 weeks ago when you just posted this file, I did it.
Got
the
it.
knowledge that I know.
Got it. But then
But
with what
I
I,
didn't learn it, and I didn't know how to do it.
but then with what we did
Yeah,
today.
but I'm gonna retype it right now because.
Got it. Got it. But does it make sense with this exercise that I did today with test pizza? With test pizza that we did today, does it make sense now?
Yes, but
Because I explained step by step
Yeah, I know.
on that.
You're the best, man. Thanks.
we have one more assignment which is due a few days, and
End of the
we
week, yeah.
also, working on it.
No,
and I
man,
try to
this
have
was
my
right
friends
now,
to
like,
be
has to come up.
That's okay. That's
because I
okay.
done it.
That's okay. I get it.
And also with the assignment for
So
today.
set is not a return. A return is only in get. So in any case,
What then? Girl.
return
this-
return girl scout mode. Yeah. Accept.
And then set then girls.
Yes.
Equals what?
Value. Correct. Correct. Now, eventually in the future, this is enough. This is most of the time. This is enough. Because what we are doing here, you are doing the auto-implemented properties.
Yeah. I
Without
think
the
it's
use-
Just easy, you know.
I
Because
get
it's
it.
public.
The
If you
only
do
thing,
private, this is correct, but this is like more like more correct.
no, it's longer, yeah, but this will make you understand what's going on behind the scenes here. Just that, it's right, but it's an oversimplification. That you get used to doing this, and you start to miss the point of what this is actually doing. Okay? That's why we insist that this course, we apply this method here.
So one more question.
Yep.
Do I have to create a separate name and then say string name like this?
Yeah, but keep in mind that if you don't put
Because this is kind of this is a
This is kept,
properties
yes.
of this for this variable, right? So I'm returning name.
Correct.
I'm doing this.
now, make sure that this is
But
public,
from
okay?
Main,
Make sure that this is public, because
this
right
is
now,
public,
this
yeah,
is
like
right now it's private. And even the private ones, to be quite honest, I would recommend that you set it to private. Set it private explicitly
private automatically.
because it's just best practice. I mean, again, you can laugh as much as you want, but this is the type of thing,
If I know that it's private, that's a reason to type it.
just best practice. There are a lot of things. I mean, comments. What is the point of having comments in the codes?
Comments
Yeah.
to clarify what did you done.
Private is the same thing. It works like that because you look at the codes and you know right away that this is a private variable. You don't have to remember that. Oh, what is the default access modifier? Oh, it's private. You don't have to remember that. It's right there already.
Yeah,
So again,
it's already there.
again,
Okay,
just
I got it. Just-
again, you can laugh as much as you want, but that's just best practice.
So and property should be uppercase always, right?
Yes. Again, best practice.
Yeah,
Does it mean that cannot be lowercase? Yeah, you can do lowercase, but what are we doing? All done? Any questions? Easy peasy. How's the assignment? How's it coming along? Good? What assignments, huh?
My We're away for the weekend, so I finished everything.
That's good.
I mean, I wish I didn't have to leave it. Better early than late. Yeah, I didn't understand the constructor parts. So
Okay, which aspect?
no
No, ask me a question. I mean, give me a starting point, because what I said is that constructor is called usually in our context here to initialize, to set values to the properties initially, to initialize the properties.
I'm not good
That's
with,
it.
like, terms, you know. So when you start using like terms, and then I start getting. I understand. But
Which term?
anything. Like, I don't know why. Even like you know how like a lot of like it's good to be technical because that means I mean like a professional is usually technical. So I can't go into the field and be like let me use this blah name, but it's like the name's not correct. You know? You don't look bad. You don't look professional. But, okay, so you got the class, right? And
Yep.
the class, then there's properties, and there's
Properties, data fields, methods,
methods.
constructors. Yeah, constructors. They look very much alike
Yeah,
a method
So what's the point of having? What's the reason for having a constructor?
to initialize variables. To
A
initialize.
variable that's already existing, but initialize it like another, like the same thing, but another with another value.
Yeah, when we say initialize, we mean set an initial value to those properties. That's what initialize means. So again,
So that's not initializing when you're giving a new value because it was already initialized.
if there,
Now you're
where was it initialized then?
at the beginning.
Where-
no,
where-
it wasn't. It wasn't.
It
When we were
wasn't.
doing it, it
We
wasn't.
just defined them. We just defined them at the top in the property, so they don't have values initially.
Yeah, they don't have values.
When we create the pizza,
Yeah.
topping didn't have a value.
In the program.
Diameter didn't have a value. What is that? Price didn't have a value. Now we create our constructor, and whenever we create a new pizza, there will be a topping there, there will be a default if we
Instead
want
of
to.
doing it, yeah, if you want to, instead of doing it in like the program.
Well, it does replace that there.
It
You
doesn't
can
replace
still
that
set
there,
them.
You can get it. So now once it's set, so you know we have the get and set. Now we have the constructor. Now is that value that if we try to get it from
Yes,
the program,
those
is
values are-
that value is the same thing.
Yes.
Even though it was declared after.
It's not declared. They were not declared. Declared, they were declared,
Even
initialized.
though it's
They were declared at the top.
then it's initialized, but it's after the get and set.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, the position of
Does
those.
the code reads it from?
No, that doesn't matter. They are called. They don't run from top to bottom. It's not how.
Calling it runs the whole thing.
What happens that in the program, when we say my pizza equals to new
Yeah.
pizza, that's when the constructor runs. And what is the constructor doing? The constructor doing setting the values of topping, of price, and of diameter to default values, to whatever values we decided to set there.
I don't know. We've taken like these guys are working on something, yeah. For the rest of the class, are we just working on?
Or just the UML, but it just ranked there, so we're done.
Oh, we're done.
Yes.
I was gonna ask.
Okay, so we should be done with the diagram. So let's have a look here. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Let's see if this is okay. Let's see the definition.
Is that the one?
Okay, so let's see. So create a UML diagram for a class named Girl Scouts. It contains fields for name, troop, number, dues owned. So let's have a look there. So name, troop number, it's correct. Dues owned is correct here with double, troop number with integer, name with string. We have toppings, diameter, and price, so this is not a good example. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So name, troop number, and do's own. That's fine. We have fields. Then we have properties, capital name, troop number. The casing is correct. So we have fields with camel casing. We have properties with Pascal casing. And then we have methods here. So let's have a look at the methods. So we have 3 fields, include a constructor. So, okay, so we have a constructor here. Great, that's fine. But there is one little thing here, minor detail, that is slightly off. Who can tell me what is the detail? So the keyword constructor should be there. But not only that, but it's returning a void here. So again, constructor has no return value, okay? So it's good, but just a few adjustments here. Again, here as well, Girl Scouts, constructor should not be void. There's no return to return value to a method, sorry, to a constructor.
This should be constructor.
So yeah, so
I just initialize my values in constructor, and this should be empty. And then I'm specifying the value over here.
got it. So your question is about this?
Yeah, I'm questioning about, so you, on the up, right? First, like we work with this one.
Yep.
Why we have this?
We don't. Those are examples that were posted by the class. So I'm correcting them.
Yeah, because this one, we don't have this method, right? So it should be a constructor, which is...
Yes, yeah, in the method
So it's
section.
wrong.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I was going through that.
Because I see method.
Got it?
I don't
Yep.
know.
Okay, so no problem. So okay, so this one here is a good one. See, we have constructor, we have Girl Scout, we have the 3 parameters there. Display model. Let's have a look at this. What does it say? Include properties for each one. Okay. Add a method to display their model with 1 string parameter. Yep. So we have a method here. A string parameter returns a string. That's fine. Have a question? No? Okay. Okay. This one here seems fine too. Constructor, yep. Display model 2, that's correct. Okay, constructor as well, that's fine. Troop number, all good. Yeah, so the description was not very clear whether display model should return a value or not. So that's fine to put it void. It was not super clear, so that's okay. Okay, model string. Okay, so a few notes here. If model is supposed to be a public method, M should be capital, okay? So the M of model. And also string here. Make sure that we put something a little bit more descriptive. Instead of just A, make sure that it's slightly more descriptive, okay? Okay, good. Any questions about that? Again, we're going to do exercise. There are some exercises already posted that we'll be using. We're going to be reading an XML diagram of just one class. So we're going to have a chance to practice this quite a lot. From now on, you're going to see a lot of classes to be implemented via UML diagrams, okay? They should not, they will not be more complicated than the ones that we were working today, okay? Okay. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, so I want to touch on 2 other points here. These 2 points, they might have been mentioned in one exercise, but I want to touch about them just to wrap things up for this for this part of our course, I want to talk about first about constants. Okay? So, what is a constant? Very self-explanatory. It doesn't change the value. Someone asked me in another section, an interesting question. What's the difference between a constant and a static property, for instance, or static fields? Static, we have this impression that it doesn't change. Well, static we access from the class name, but we can change the value. Just because it's static, it doesn't mean that it's a constant, okay? So constant is really about converting numbers or strings or any other type to a name. We can say, and hopefully you can all see that, we can say tax rate in Canada. Let's create a constant called that will have the number 13 or the double 0.13. So in our code, instead of having in lots of places 13, 13, 13, which is what it's called a magic number. What is 13? What does that mean? Well, if we have a constant saying that tax rate is equals to 13, then we're going to be using across our entire codes the constants called tax number or tax rate. And then when we look at the codes, we're going to know right away, oh, this is the rate. And we define that in one single place in our code, and we just reuse the keyword tax rate, the constant tax rate, everywhere in our code. If we need to change this, let's say, next year they change the HST becomes, I don't know, another number there. We just go in one place and we change it there. Everything else in the application will stay the same. A few notes about constants. The naming convention of constants, it's all caps, okay? The way that you're going to be using that, all caps, and separating the words by an underscore. Underline, underscore, however you want to call that. But like a tax rate, tax, underline, or underscore, rate, all capital, okay?
We cannot put it together. We have to just separate.
It's not technically speaking, you can put together. From a convention standpoint,
Easy to read.
yeah, it's just yet actually, if I'm not mistaken, this type of casing is called snake casing. Snake, because yeah, yes, kind of. So use the snake casing. Yes.
This underscore is just add some space.
It just
Add space.
add a space? No, it's actually the underscore character. There's a character for in the keyboard. For this, it's not the dash. It's the shift. What is that?
Shift dash.
Shift dash. Yeah, it's the same. So you got it.
So maybe because in the Visual Studio, when you add a space, in the code is right dash. When you add a space for your namespace of the class, when you add a space there,
Okay.
inside the code, it's shown with underscore.
When you write the space there where?
For example, I create a new project
Yep.
and add a name for that. For example, Sina space something.
Yep.
In the code, in the Visual Studio, in the code is right namespace on the.
Okay.
That part is the right underscore.
Okay, so here's it's Visual Studio is being smart there because you cannot have namespaces with spaces. So it's replacing those spaces that you put there in your solution name.
In the with underscore.
Underscore.
I just think that maybe it has the same thing here. It is just one name.
Yeah, just one single identifier. Okay. So again, over time, over the course of this course, you're going to be using constants here and there. There's not much else to to talk about constants. That's really it, all that is.
So if it's like all capitalized, so we can consider it as a constant?
Yeah, if you see an all caps type of a variable or identifier, you will say, okay, this most likely is a constant. Okay?
So it's always assigned a value for constant?
Yes. That's the whole point of having a constant, is that there's a value associated with that identifier that does not change over the course of your application, does not change. Okay? Any questions about constants? Anything? Okay. Enum. Anyone knows what is an enum in enumeration? Anyone knows what? Yep.
So we declare some string before, not a string, one type of data
Yep.
as a group of some brackets. Then we can call it, and with the number start from 0, we can call each of them to show.
Is it more like a class too?
A class?
You know?
No.
It's a user-defined type. It's a type. A class is a type as well. In enum is another type of type, another type that you can define yourself. Yep. So I'll give
Set of type.
a set of options.
Options, okay.
A set of
But the same options, that's what you mean, the constant.
related options. Okay, I'll give the example here. Let's think about, hopefully you can see that. Let's think about days. Days, you have a discrete set of options. It can be from Monday to Sunday. Now, I can now create, let's say, a calendar application that to set up appointments. And now I need to record the day of the week that you set up your appointments. Now I can record, I can turn those days into an enumeration that has those discrete values. It has only those 7 different options. I could have said that days could be an integer. But the problem is that integer can be negative number, it can be beyond 7, it can be 8, 9, 10. So all of a sudden, I'm saying that days is an integer. But we have values that don't make sense for that for days. However, if we define an enumeration, the value of that day can only be one of those options there. So again, don't confuse enumerations with arrays, okay? Array is a collection of data. This is a type that you define that can assume a variable of type days can assume the value of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So it has to be one of them.
One of them. So it's one of them. It's a discrete set of options. This is very useful when we are dealing with status, like student status. It might be active, inactive, on hold, I don't know. Whatever status might be used on Centennial. It's a discrete set of values. Again, days is a good example here. If you see the example there, the first one, it does not have a value for each item. So the first item, what is the value of the first item if it doesn't have a clear value? 0, and it goes until 6. However, I can say, as you can see in the second example, that you can set the first one as 1, and you can go like that. Okay? It's enough to set the first one. The other ones will just follow after that one. Okay?
So it's default?
Yeah, so by default, if you don't specify, it's 0 and keeps increasing. But if you define the first one as, I don't know, 10, the second one will be 11. Yep. That's okay. And then you can specify. You can say the first one is 10, the second one is equals to 20, the third one. So it will either go sequentially one by one, or you pick each one, the value. Okay? Okay. This slide is just showing that you can convert, because those enumerations, they are number based, you can convert when you say int x equals to, in parentheses, int, what it's happening is that it's converting Monday to the value, to the corresponding value of integer, okay? The second line, it's converting the number 3 to the corresponding day of the week, okay? So again, this parenthesis type, it's casting. It's called casting. It's converting one type to another one. It's converting, let's say in the first line, days to integer. In the second line, integer to days.
Could we have put days x?
Days x, yes, and then we don't have to convert to, we could get rid of int there. You're talking about the first line?
No, the second line.
The second line?
Days
Oh,
equals
days
x.
equals to x.
Just already calling what you want.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Days d equals to cast days x. Yes, you could.
So that way, whatever we call x.
Yeah, those three lines, they are not very dependent on each other. I mean, they are just isolated examples. Okay? They are not a block of code, just isolated examples.
So what's number 3?
So number 3 is just converting from a string to days, and then convert, just a more complicated way to make a conversion. D is days, and then we are converting the string mon to days, and then parsing that to days again. Just a complicated line. Let's forget about that line.
Now, days 3, it means the third data in the day.
It means that it's the value that is linked to 3. It might be the third one. Again, if we go back to the previous slides, if we are talking about the last one, then 3 is Wednesday. But if we're talking about the first one, 3 is what? Thursday. Okay?
And how about the, could you go to the next slide?
The next one?
And how about what's the third line? Now,
Yeah, okay, so first it's converting the string Monday to days. Then it's parsing that to an enumerable and convert it to days and set it to D.
so by
To D.
default, x is 0, right?
By default, x is 0, yes.
Okay, and the second one, by default, is Thursday. Days D.
It depends on
It's not so, don't say by default. It's been assigned the value of,
Okay.
it's not by default. When you say by default,
By default, because it starts by 0, right? Unless you assign a number to.
correct. So if you just declare days D, actually I don't even know. It might be the 0 one. Yeah, it might be Monday becomes the default one.
0, 0, 1. 3, it's going to be Thursday.
Yeah.
question. In the enum,
Yep.
for the enum you declare it as strings, right? Those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
No,
But do you
they are not. Look at
What are
them.
they right now?
They are just constants. They are
So they're all constant.
they are all constants that are part of a group of constants.
Okay.
So they are actually, enum is a type of a constant because each item in this group has a value. Monday is 0 or Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2.
Yeah, but when you write them, do you put the quotation or you
No.
just write them in?
Just write them in. You do something like this. Days dot mon.
Okay.
You call the enumeration. You said days dot.
So the enum all it does is just to store those constant values, either 0, 1, 2, or
Yes.
10 or
Whatever you put there, it doesn't matter. It can be string, it can be integer, it can be double, it can be whatever. So it's all about the element position. Which is the constant.
Well, they are basically integral values. You see the third line there? You may assign integral values. So it's numeric values, it's not strings. We're not using strings here, we're not using doubles here. We are using integer values. Okay? So there is nothing to do with strings here. Okay? Those are discrete values. Okay? And I'll give a few more examples here on slide this one. So you have days, we have marital status there. Single, 6, married, 2, again.
So what does separate, divorce, and widow become? If single is 6, married is 2.
Separated would be negative.
Okay, so actually, here's what will happen. It's strange, but that's the way it behaves. It goes with the last one. So it picks the last number, which is 2, and then it becomes 3, 4, 5. If we have another one, we will have a problem. Because it would become 6, and it would have 2 6. Okay?
Okay.
So, again, those are some of the types that, yes.
About the number 6 and 2, now the separated is 3. Because the last number is 2, and from 2 is go up.
Yes.
Then 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, but then when we reach 6, you're going to have a problem. So you have to, in a case like this, you'd have to set the numbers. If we get to 6, maybe you want to set it to 7. But again, it's just, my recommendation is make it from the smallest to the largest one.
So maybe we can, after 5, add 7 for next one, then 8, 9, 10 is go by 6.
We could do that. We could do that.
So what about the second line? Like if single is equals to 6 and married is equals to 2? Like,
That's okay.
but we don't have to just assign the other ones?
The other ones will become increments after marriage. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it will go like that.
That's default?
Yes.
That's by default.
It will increase by the last one. You had a question? Yes. By default, if it's not defined, it starts with 0.
2, 4, because first one is 6.
Yes.
It's designed for 6. And 2, 4, 5, and the other 6.
When it hits 6, you're going to have a problem. So you have, on the 6th one, you have to define the value. Let's say equals to 7.
Yeah.
None? None is just a name. Yeah. Now, in that case, it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, just like that. Nothing. We could put there nothing or ABC.
But it still is counted.
It's counted.
Yeah.
It's
considered as some data. Like others think.
yes, yes. It's no color. It's like no color.
That's okay. That's just because I'm professional.
Yes.
As number here.
If you can add numbers, well, you can set numbers, but I don't think that you can start an identifier with a number.
For example, I want to add a number for months of the year from 1 to 12. Can I?
Yeah. So you're gonna say January, February, March.
Not, I want to use number.
Just numbers. I don't think that you can use numbers there instead of because numbers. I don't think that numbers by themselves they can become constants. Just the numbers. You can try, but I don't think it works. Numbers only numbers are not identifiers. They are values. The compiler will not accept that. Okay? It's like I want to, instead of number, I want them to be strings. Strings are values. Numbers are values. Those are constants. Constants is like the name of a variable. It has some rules that we need to apply to that. It cannot be a number. A number is a value. It cannot be an identifier. You cannot have a class called 10. You cannot have a method called 20. Okay? Yeah. Okay? Okay, some examples here. Look at this example there. It's simple, but use your troubleshooting mind and tell me what what is the one thing that does not make too much sense there?
Oh, enter day of the week, but it's asking for a number.
Yeah, so it's asking you to type a number there. From 1 to 7. That should be okay. We are converting to days. But look at the if statements. Look at the if statements.
Oh, because Tuesday is not a weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. It's either Saturday. It's just Sunday because there's no Saturday.
It's on purpose, okay?
Yeah,
It's on
Friday
purpose.
and,
It might be on purpose, or it might be a mistake that I never fixed.
Well, you can use Friday and Sunday because Friday is the beginning of the weekend.
Okay, so again, just a few other examples. Why use enumerable? I have a little practice there, but we don't have enough time to cover that. So again, let's have a look here for a second. So on these slides, you can do a little exercise there to practice what you learn about enumerations, enumerables. But again, let's not start this now. You can do that on your own. The PDF is there. A few things before I let you guys go. Bonus 3 is released. So again, you just have a look. The due date, again, due date for bonus is the first, it's right before the next class, okay? Always due date is right before the next class. The same deal, check the podcast, check the video that is displayed, that is mentioned there, ask your questions. What else? Assignment 1 is due this Friday, okay? 11:30 p.m. I think that's it. Assignment 1, yep. Assignment 2 will be released next week, so we're going to talk about that then. And let me see if there's anything else here. Okay, you can see a few exercises under Centennial. If you go to Contents, again, you have this exercise, which I'll be releasing this week. Under week 3, you have exercise 2 and exercise 3. Guys, let's just pay attention here for a second. I'm almost letting you all go. I know you are crazy to leave. Okay? So again, exercise 2 and exercise 3 are there. And
We can finish all of them.
When is the next?
let me see if you can. Next quiz. Good points. Next week. That's what I was missing. Next week we have the quiz 2 about what we have discussed so far. Yes. Just quiz on Centennial. Coding tests and assignments. We are doing exercise. We're going to be always doing a lot of exercise hands-on here. How are you going to convert quiz to coding?
So it's going to be
The test will be the same type of setup that we are doing the exercises. The transition to test will be just from the exercise that you are doing here. That's it. We're gonna, and again, do the exercises. We have 4 exercises. We have exercise 3, exercise 4. Again, those are the types of things. Again, the exercise, what is that? Use the exercise well. That's your chance to practice for the test.
So the quiz will be like the last time, like the options? Or?
Yes. Okay? Go in peace. Properties, this, constructors, the topics that we covered on the first 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks.
Yes.